Hi, I'm Elena from Alsie, and today I want to show you how we make role-play simulations using Alsie. Uh, First of all, how we define role-play. Role-play is just a student's activity with a synthetic AI-generated character, which is aimed to practice certain skills and recollect certain knowledge. Really helpful for some cases. So today I'm going to give you an example based on my course case. I teach user research for designers. So in this simulation, we're going to have students as UX designers, and they need to convince their CEO, a fictional CEO, of course, to allow and to fund doing UX user research. In this case, there is a coffee shop chain. They have a mobile app. They have a lot of downloads, but very few orders. CEO wants to pour money into marketing. The UX designer has a different view and a different position. So they're going to have a debate, and the students need to use all of their knowledge, all of their thesis arguments to convince the CEO. And may I say, this is something that in real life UX designers have to do all the time, convincing stakeholders to do research or to do some design activities. Here we are on the page of assignment setup, and as you enter it, you will have the part which is visible to student. This is basically the name of the assignment and the description, where we give the students the introduction to the activity, what they need to do, and what they need to know about this fictional case. And finally, assignment instructions. So here we need to choose a template. We're going to choose role play, and here's what we're going to have. So for role play, we have certain specifications. We need to define the learning goal, the role of this assistant, basically the AI that's going to have a debate with the student, the role of the student, what's expected from students' behavior, basic scenario flow, the assistant behavior rules, what to do, what not to do, how to react to different student actions or texts, and finally, how you finish the dialogue. Here you can see some basic instructions, but you don't need to edit them. So I have already prepared the instructions. So I have defined the learning goal because I want students to practice skills like of convincing. I have the assistant role, basically the legend defined. What's important, I defined this scenario, so how we want to start, how we want this fictional SEO to behave. And then I define how the SEO will get convinced. So AI cannot really get convinced. It's not a human. So we need to say, okay, here are the theses which we expect from the student. And if the student mentions at least 8 of them, this is when you can start getting softer and getting kind of more convinced. We have the rules. We want the CEO to be skeptical, stubborn, care about money and return on investment, and so on and so forth. Quite a realistic situation. And again, we want to start like dismissive and stubborn. Then we want it to be more curious and reluctantly cooperative. And finally, we have the finished dialogue instructions. We don't want this dialogue to last forever. Either the student convinces, or they have like 10 to 12 turns, or just the student tells the SEO to explicitly tells to end the meeting. So I'm going to use these texts to fill up my assistant instruction. Okay, so here we have everything filled out. Learning goal, assistant role, student, the basic scenario flow, the instructions on the assistant behavior, and finally the finished dialogue conditions. We hit on save changes. Wait. Okay. Now, another interesting part is that if you have a lot of students, you will have a lot of dialogues. If you use this for in-class facilitation, and this is a dialogue that everybody practices and then everybody discusses, that's one thing. But if it's part of your homework, you probably wouldn't want to read all of those chats because that's a lot of reading. Here's the beautiful part. You can instruct AI to do that for you and to give you a summary. So I can add as many criteria as I need. And basically each criteria is just an angle under which I want AI to look onto the student chats. So this AI reads student chats and writes a summary or grades the chat for you. So for example, if I want to know which thesis the student used, so I would call the criteria name, for example, thesis. This is just for me to identify. I would give it some summary instructions. I would ask it to just list what thesis the student used. Okay, I want just a very short summary. I can use the points both for grading, but also just for like numerical summary. So for example, I can keep the max points as 0, which means it's unlimited. And then I can give it grading instructions. Just count the number of theses. So this is just an example how I can use this evaluation function to learn what happened in this chat without actually reading the chat. I can add another criterion. For example, I want just to know the result, whether the chat finished with the student actually convincing the SEO. So I would call it, for example, result. Okay. And for example, I can say give 1 point if the student had convinced the CEO, 0 points if the student convinced the CEO. Okay. And also I gotta hit save. Done.